The Superior Electoral Court has just formed a majority to convict former President Jair Bolsonaro for abusing his office to sow distrust in the electoral system. This decision will bar Mr. Bolsonaro from running for office for the next 8 years. The petition was filed by the center-left Democratic Labour Party, the PDT, in connection with Bolsonaro having hosted in July last year foreign ambassadors at the presidential residence in a presentation in order to try to convince the ambassadors that there is somehow concerns about the credibility of Brazil's voting system without showing any evidence at all. The PDT argued to the electoral judges that as president at the time, Bolsonaro enjoyed a power and a privilege to invite the foreign ambassadors, a position that was not shared by his fellow presidential candidates, by his rival presidential candidates. During this presentation, Mr. Bolsonaro expressed concern to the foreign ambassadors with the possibility that foreign governments would immediately recognize the results of Brazil's presidential election, something that actually happened on the night of October 30. A lot of major powers and Brazil's neighbors congratulated then President-elect Lula almost immediately on the night of the election, which was precisely Mr. Bolsonaro's concern. Mr. Bolsonaro recently admitted that this event with the foreign ambassadors was a reaction to a similar initiative by then electoral justice Edson Fachin, who earlier in 2022 held a presentation at the electoral court with foreign ambassadors about Brazil's electronic voting machine, Brazil's electoral system, and even held a mock election with the foreign ambassadors in order to decide which Brazilian football team is the best. With this decision, Mr. Bolsonaro will be barred from running in next year's mayoral election, 2024, also the 2028 mayoral election, and the 2026 presidential election. Mr. Bolsonaro will still be allowed to run in the 2030 election because of the shifting dates of elections in Brazil. In Brazil, elections are held in the first Sunday of October, which means that in October 2030, elections will be held a few days after their respective time in the 2022 election. Mr. Bolsonaro is today age 68, and he might not have an interest in running again in 2030. Mr. Bolsonaro and his allies have already tried to prevent politically this defeat that they already saw as inevitable. The chairman of Mr. Bolsonaro's party, Valdemar Costa Neto, has since January used the press to try to underplay this upcoming defeat at the electoral court, and he has been touting former First Lady Michele Bolsonaro, Jair Bolsonaro's wife, as a possible next successor or heir of Bolsonarismo. Governors Tarcísio de Freitas and Romeu Zema, who are also close Bolsonaro allies, are also seen as successors to Bolsonarismo in the 2026 election. This has been Cedê Silva from Brasília for the Brazilian Report.